Can you hear me now? Please, let me know in the chat real quick. That's an L. That's an L. We good now? All right. Sorry about that. I did have my mic plugged in. I had the Elgato plugged in instead. My bad. My bad. I apologize. But let's start over again. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmug TV here, aka GLauren33, the best podcaster in the IWC, and I don't care what anybody says. All right, welcome back to the Legit Shoot podcast. Welcome to your official WWE Payback 2020 official review and results. Thank you guys so very much for joining me right here tonight. And it's been a crazy week. I know some of you guys are a little disappointed with me. I did not get a chance to do a SmackDown review. I really wanted to talk about Roman Reigns' heel turn and Sasha's promo, so I wanted to apologize to all of you guys for that. But we're going to be talking about SmackDown and Payback tonight because everything we saw on SmackDown set up what we saw tonight. And you know, before we get into the review, you guys, I know you guys want my thoughts on the show, my original thoughts. And are we gonna get another part 2? You know, last Sunday, I gave you guys the rant of the century. All right, you guys remember when Sasha lost the Raw Women's Championship to Asuka? I ranted on here for 40 minutes. I promise you guys, you're not going to get a rant like that tonight. We're going to talk about it. I'm not as angry as I was last week. All right, I'm not even surprised that Sasha and Bayley lost the tag team titles. Am I a little bit unhappy? Yes, but overall, I feel pretty good because we are this close. We are right on the edge of finally getting Sasha to turn back into that intense, vicious, badass babyface we've always wanted her to be. And it looks like we are this close to finally getting Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I don't know if it's going to happen this week, but after what we saw tonight, we saw Sasha and Bayley, the tension's there, and definitely they can set this up for the breakup to happen. We just don't know if it's going to happen, but it's going to be very interesting. Also, Shayna Baszler, I'm going to be honest, as unhappy as I am that Sasha and Bayley lost, I understand why they did it. Plus, Shayna Baszler is now a made woman in WWE. She is made. Ever since she lost at WrestleMania to Becky Lynch, we thought Shayna could never make it back. But Sasha and Bayley elevated Shayna Baszler to a point tonight where Shayna Baszler is made. That finish was great. It was great. It sets up further storyline for Sasha and Bayley. It makes Shayna look like a badass, even though I hate that Shayna and Nia are tag team champions because they're not a team. I wanted Sasha and Bayley to drop those titles to Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. That's an actual team. Shayna and Nia, they're not going to be a team long term. And you guys know how much Nia sucks. And we're going to go more into that a little bit later in the podcast. But either way, Sasha and Bayley elevated Asuka. They elevated Shayna Baszler, and they've elevated the women's division. Now the stage is set for Sasha and Bayley to elevate themselves. They've elevated the women's tag team titles. They elevated the Raw Women's division. Now the stage is set for them to go on SmackDown and elevate themselves with their feud, if we're going to get it. I am tonight on the podcast going to fantasy book. Right here live tonight, I'm going to fantasy book how I would book Sasha and Bayley for the rest of the year, all the way up to WrestleMania season. Will WWE listen to me? They never do. Even though you guys know that I do this better than anybody. All right. Also, I see him in the chat. I do this every review. I want to give a shout out to my boy, the official Sal Reacts. He is the one that does all the layouts here. You guys may know him. He does JD from New York's layouts. He does layouts for AC from NY. And he also does the layouts for this podcast. And he is absolutely amazing at what he does. He's a good friend of mine. And if you guys ever need layouts for WWE, hit him up, man. He is very reasonable and he gives you really good quality work. So definitely shout out to my boy, the official Sal Reacts. Make sure to go follow him on Twitter, man. He is the GOAT. Thank you for everything you do, bro. But everything. Also, I know you guys want my thoughts on the Roman Reigns situation. Look, I am so happy that Roman Reigns is a heel. You guys have been watching me for 3-4 years now. You guys know that I've been wanting Roman Reigns to be a heel, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. They could have done this a lot more better. They could have done this a lot better tonight. You know, I didn't like how they had Roman wait till the end of the match to come out. First of all, that doesn't really make any sense. I don't like how Roman's out here fighting in t-shirts now. Like, I used to complain that he used to wrestle in a vest. Now he's wrestling in t-shirts, bro. Like, come on. And, you know, there's some other things, but we're going to go into depth. Yes, Roman being Universal Champion, I don't really have a problem with it, especially now that he's a heel and he's aligned with Paul Heyman. But I have a problem with the execution. You know, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. Because Roman's clearly going to be the heel. The Fiend's going to be the top babyface going forward. It's like a whole role reversal. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that on the podcast tonight. Joseph really wants the Sasha and Bayley booking right now. Bro, be patient. It's going to be worth it. Give me like 20 to 30 minutes. We got to get through all this other nonsense first. All right. But we will talk about Sasha and Bayley in depth in a little bit. Other than that, those were really the two big things. And, I almost forgot. Keith Lee defeating Randy Orton clean in less than 10 minutes. We will talk about that. I'm very happy for Keith Lee. Yes, I am very unhappy that he's wrestling in a freaking t-shirt and they haven't changed his theme song back to what it was before. But, you know, still, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So the big things on the podcast tonight, going to talk about Sasha Banks and Bayley losing the tag team titles and where that leads them. We're going to go in depth about Roman Reigns' heel turn, Roman Reigns regaining the Universal Championship. And even though it's the right decision, and I'm happy that he's a heel, but how WWE has already fucked up with Roman Reigns early in his return. And the last thing that we're going to talk about, the big thing, Keith Lee and his big victory over Randy Orton. Everything else on the show tonight, the Payback wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as good as SummerSlam. And, you know, it is what it is, but it wasn't a terrible show, I'm going to be honest. All right? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything special. SummerSlam last week was actually good. Too bad they fucked it up with Monday Night Raw and SmackDown this week, but the show really wasn't terrible. It just wasn't anything special. All right, other than those other three things I talked about. But we're going to get into Payback tonight. As always, guys, thank you guys for joining me here on the podcast. Before we get into the official review, if you guys enjoy this podcast, you guys enjoy the review, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell right below, right next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. I post some of the best WWE content in the community. All right, so definitely, if you guys love WWE and you guys want to be educated, definitely subscribe if you guys are new. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you to everyone that live tweeted with me tonight. As always, you guys are amazing. I'll be right back here tomorrow night with Monday Night Raw review. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Even though I'm not super excited for Raw, especially since SmackDown, I'm a little more interested in what's going on with SmackDown right now with Roman Reigns' heel turn and Sasha Banks and Bayley. Because now that Sasha and Bayley are no longer the tag team champions, plus Sasha is no longer the Raw Women's Champion, which we ranted on that last week. If you guys haven't checked out the SummerSlam review, go check that out. That was probably the best podcast of the year. We won't be seeing Sasha and Bayley on Monday Night Raw. Most likely. Unless they challenge Shayna and Nia again. But even though I don't really want to see a rematch, because we know Sasha and Bayley are not regaining the tag titles. But we'll talk about that. But yeah, I'm more interested in what's going on SmackDown right now than Raw. But now that I got the mini nuggets out of the way, let's get into the actual review. So first off, what do you guys? Let's get into the pre-show. I didn't watch the pre-show. I knew that on the pre-show it was gonna be the Iconics versus the Riot Squad. We've seen this match already, every single week on Raw. One week it's like Billie Kay versus Liv Morgan, or Billie Kay versus Ruby Riott, or another week it's Peyton Royce versus Ruby Riott, or Peyton Royce versus Liv Morgan. At the end of the day, I don't care, and I know you guys don't care either. I'm sorry. Like, yes, I want to see the Riot Squad built up. I want to see Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan have success. I pitched. You guys know this. I pitched for Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan to be the ones that take the tag titles off of Sasha and Bayley, not Nia Jax's fat ass and Shayna Baszler. Not at all. I've been saying for months now, all summer, that it should have been the Riot Squad. We could still eventually see the Riot Squad become tag team champions. All right. I think they should be the ones to take those titles off of Nia and Shayna, because Nia and Shayna are not going to be tag champions long term. But still, we'll see. We'll talk about that. But I didn't watch the match. I didn't give a crap. I didn't give a crap at all. We've seen this match. Billie Kay sucks. Peyton Royce, Ruby Riott, and Liv Morgan, they're not bad, but Billie Kay sucks. And that's all you need. Anytime you put Billie Kay in a match, that's all you need to tell me for me to turn away. It's really that simple. I will never care for a Billie Kay match. Not now, not ever. All right? But Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott got the win. They did their own double team finisher. It was like a code breaker / ride kick combo. I will say this. I'm noticing there are a lot of WWE superstars now. A lot of them are doing code breakers. Like we seen Sasha do one. Asuka has one in her moveset. I think we saw it was either Baron Corbin or Matt Riddle. One of them did a code breaker tonight. So I'm just going to say I would cool down on that if I was WWE. Because one thing that I complain about is, almost every WWE superstar does a super kick. Now it seems like every WWE superstar is doing a code breaker. I don't like when superstars, and especially a large majority of superstars, are all doing the same moves. Like, everyone should have their own unique moveset. If you do a move every once in a while, fine. But now that I'm seeing code, it seems like everybody's adding the code breaker to their arsenal. It was a move made famous by Chris Jericho. That's another thing that bothers me. All right, if you're gonna use a move, especially a move that was made famous by a legend, then it should be used as a finisher. Like Kevin Owens using the Stone Cold Stunner. He doesn't use it all the time, but when he uses it, he usually gets a win with it. Like, come on. Everyone knows the code breaker is Chris Jericho's move. That's why everyone calls it a code breaker when someone uses it. If you're going to use a move made famous by Chris Jericho, a legend, no matter what, no matter if him and WWE are on the best terms because he's with AEW, if you're going to use a move that was made famous by him, that won him championships and all these other things, use it properly, please. Like, is that too much to ask? Use it properly. It's really that simple. But that's my thoughts on that. So the Riot Squad finally get the victory here. They finally overcome the Iconics. But like I said, I would not be surprised. Watch. Tomorrow night, WWE will probably do a rematch because that's what WWE does. We'll probably see this match again. Like I said, I would build the Riot Squad up for the Tag Team Championships. I wanted them to take the Tag Team Championships off Sasha Banks and Bayley. But, they'll probably be the ones to take them off Nia and Shayna. I don't really care. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Now that the Tag Team titles are off of Sasha Banks and Bayley, I don't care about them anymore. If you guys remember last year, when they took the titles off Sasha Banks and Bayley at WrestleMania 34, WrestleMania 35, my bad. When they took those titles off Sasha Banks and Bayley and put them on the Iconics in New York at MetLife Stadium at WrestleMania 35, I didn't give a shit anymore. I didn't care about the Iconics, holding those titles for most of the summer. I didn't care about Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross holding those titles. Excuse me, burping. I didn't care when, and as much as I love Asuka and Kairi Sane, I didn't care when they won the Tag Team Championships. I just didn't give a shit. All right? I've only cared about those titles when those titles are on Sasha Banks and Bayley because they've been the only team in all of WWE that's held those titles that have elevated them. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the podcast. They're the only team that's actually elevated them. All right? Like, come on. Let's use our minds here, bro. You guys really think even if the Riot Squad win those titles, they're gonna bring prestige to them? They could. They're great, but I don't think WWE's gonna let them. Now that those tag team titles are off of Sasha Banks and Bayley, I just don't give a shit. So if the Riot Squad won those tomorrow, I'd be happy for them, but I really wouldn't care. It's not like WWE's gonna give them a great reign. They're gonna give them worthy challengers and actually make the tag team division look important. We all know how WWE operates. It's that simple. I'm happy that the Riot Squad got the win tonight. And I hope they go become tag team champions. But I don't think WWE's going to use them properly. And that's the reason why I just don't care. I just got to be, honest. And I see Chewbacker16 in the chat. You said Nia's a threat. I can't watch the matches she's in because I'm too scared for any of the girls in that ring. We'll talk about Nia a little bit later. Bit stubborn dude, give others a chance, but okay. All right, I'm going to stop you right there, bro. Chewbacker16. I'm going to stop you right there. Give others a chance. Those tag team titles have been on the Iconics, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, the Kubaki Warriors. And now they're on Shayna and Nia. Out of those 4 teams that I just named, bro, name me one of those teams that had a good reign with the tag team championships. I'll wait. I'm just going to spare us all the misery of having to wait for you to type in your answer. None of them. None of them. I just said I love Asuka and Kairi Sane, but their reign was terrible. Terrible. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross did nothing with those tag titles. The Iconics had the worst tag team championship reign of all time. They freaking defended those titles against jobbers. Walmart jobbers. The thing is, you guys know, anybody that watches me knows, yes, I'm biased against Sasha Banks, but I always bring up facts of why I call her the best female wrestler in the world, and it's nowhere close. Like I said, those titles only ever meant something when they were on Sasha Banks and Bayley. So, why? I'm not trying to, make people unhappy. I want to see the women's division succeed. I'm one of the biggest advocates for the women's division on YouTube. But I gotta be honest here. Based on WWE's track record with the way they build people up, I have no faith that even if the Riot Squad become tag team champions, that that's gonna be used in a proper way. It's that simple. Come on. I said that the Riot Squad should be the ones to take the towels off Sasha Banks and Bayley. It's not like I don't want to see them become champions. I just don't think WWE's gonna use them properly. And that's it. Happy that the Riot Squad got the victory. Hopefully WWE, uses them properly, but I doubt it. You guys know I don't trust WWE, and why would I? Why should I trust WWE? Come on. Let's use our heads here. All right? But enough. We spent enough time on the pre-show. I'm surprised I went that long going on a pre-show match. All right? Joseph says, literally all the teams besides Sasha and Bayley were irrelevant with those titles, and they were barely shown and defended on TV. Sasha and Bayley defended them week after week and dominated. Fact. And you took the words right out of my mouth, Joseph. This is why this is a pro Sasha Banks channel. Because the people that are subscribed to this channel know facts. They're educated. That's why you're here, Chewbacca. That's why you're watching me, bro, to be educated. Let's be serious. And we'll talk about the tag team champions a little bit more. Cause I don't want to, rush things. We're gonna talk about Sasha Banks and Bayley here in a little bit. Don't you guys worry. I know that's your favorite part of the podcast. All right, it's my favorite part too, because I love talking about my favorite wrestler. But we'll get there in a little bit. Moving on to the main card, we had for the United States Championship, we had Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley. You guys have heard me the last couple weeks. This match should have happened at SummerSlam. I don't know why it didn't happen at SummerSlam. All right, this was a good match. It would have been better if they put this on SummerSlam. Remember, I believe Apollo and MVP were on the pre-show last week. Garbage. But, we had already seen Apollo versus MVP 2 or 3 times on Monday Night Raw. Everyone knows that Bobby Lashley versus Apollo should have happened last week. I don't know. I saw some people on social media. Saw some people on social media saying this was a SummerSlam Night 2. It wasn't a SummerSlam Night 2, but I could see why you would say that. But this match should have took place last week. It's that simple. We've seen Lashley, defeat Apollo a couple times in the last couple of weeks. And we all knew this is where the story was going. MVP came out with Shelton Benjamin. MVP, he was clean shaven, wearing a nice little suit, and they sat at ringside supporting their fellow Hurt Business brother. So basically, the match started off back and forth chain wrestling, nothing too special. But lastly, of course, took advantage with his power. Cruz tried to counter with speed and agility. He delivered a moonsault from the apron, which looked pretty nice. Then lastly, regained control, and then he got hit by an enziguri. Cruz then followed with a crossbody and a spine buster. Cruz has a pretty good spine buster, not gonna lie. It's one of my favorite moves in wrestling. And then he did his normal standing moonsault. Lastly, kicked out at 2.5. Then we saw Cruz go for a gorilla press, which actually looked pretty good. Because you guys understand, Lashley's a big man. He is ripped. All right. So Cruz showing that strength there. Then we saw him do 2 German suplexes and a frog splash, but Lashley kicked out. So Cruz was unloading his entire moveset, everything he had, but Lashley kept kicking out. So then we saw Lashley create some separation, then hit a big spine buster, then applied the full Nelson for the win. So Lashley wins the title. I predicted this was going to happen. I was not, that surprised, all right? And I see, oh my gosh. Truebacker16 says, sorry for what I said. No apologies, bro. You're here to be educated. It's that simple. If you listen to this podcast, you listen to this podcast for 2 reasons. All right? Because you love hearing my voice and you love hearing what I got to say, and I don't blame you. All right? And 2, because you want to be entertained, and 3, you want to be educated. It's that simple. It's that simple. I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm just giving you guys factual information. I love all my subscribers, bro. You guys are what makes me, keep going. So even if we have disagreements, that's why we're here. We're here to learn. All right? Anyway. Come on. I was just about to go back to the Bobby Lashley match, and Big Mar says Alexa and Nikki Low-key had a good run. No, it wasn't. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Alexa Bliss having a good championship reign. I like Nikki Cross. I don't hate Alexa Bliss as much as I used to, but Alexa Bliss having a good championship reign. Give me a break. Sasha Banks holding the Raw Women's Championship on 3 separate occasions for 27 days is better than all of Alexa's reigns combined. I couldn't give a shit whenever Alexa Bliss was champion. All right, sorry, Big Mar, but I gotta be honest. Alexa Bliss having a good championship reign, stop it. Alexa and Nikki Cross were garbage as tag team champions. Garbage. All right. Anyway, back to the match. After Lashley finished celebrating, they did something where MVP and Benjamin stood in the ring and they all posed, nothing too special. So they sat there and they posed, but right after Cruz attacked him from behind. But I was like, why are they doing this? First of all, Cruz is the babyface and he lost clean. I can understand Cruz doing this if maybe, the Hurt Business got involved in the match, but they didn't get involved at all. They sat at ringside and supported Bobby Lashley. An untypical heel move. So I'm sitting here thinking like, wait a minute. Cruz lost clean, but he's going to attack the babyface, or he's going to attack the heels afterwards. For a second, I thought maybe Apollo could be joining the Hurt Business, because I've been saying I would not be against that. I want to see the Hurt Business grow and get more members. I wanted to become a dominant stable on Monday Night Raw. But then just having Cruz as a babyface attack the heels after losing clean, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for a babyface to do. So then Cruz like, I'm getting that title back, and that was it. So I was like, the match wasn't bad, but I didn't like what they did there. Unless they're setting up Cruz to actually finally join the Hurt Business like he probably should have a couple months ago, I don't really care. I really don't care. Cruz is not getting that title back. Like, I've been saying this for months. All right? Ever since Paul Heyman was fired as the executive director, on Raw, Vince has been waiting to take that title off of Cruz. Yes, it was delayed a little bit with the MVP nonsense, but we always knew that eventually Cruz was going to drop that title, most likely to Lashley. So, Cruz is not getting that title back, and he's probably going right back to catering. All right, and it's sad because Cruz is very talented. If Cruz is not used, and look at what they're doing with Mustafa Ali and, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander right now. We have a WWE draft coming up in about a month. What I would be looking for, because remember, NXT will be involved. Superstars from NXT will be getting called up, and main roster superstars can also get called down. They can be brought down to NXT. I would definitely not be against Apollo or Ricochet or, a Cedric Alexander going back down to NXT. They're not being used on the main roster. If you're not going to be used on the main roster, you shouldn't be up there. That's the way I see things. Because in NXT, they use everybody. No matter if you're Gargano or, a Tommaso Ciampa level, or if you're on the level of Caden Carter. It's that simple. So we'll see what happens. Maybe, they'll set up a rematch for Clash of Champions, but I just don't see Cruz getting the title back. I don't think anybody sees Cruz getting that title back. So, I don't know. I feel like, he's just going to go right back down to normal where he was before. All right. But, that's what it is. It's just factual information at the end of the day that I'm giving you. All right. Like, Lashley's not losing that title anytime soon. All right, he's been built up way too dominantly. You should build somebody up in the mid-card division, like a Mustafa Ali, like a Cedric Alexander, like a Ricochet. You should build somebody up like that to take that title off him. But, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't. But Lashley is the new United States champion, and I don't have a problem with that. I just feel bad that Cruz is going right back to catering. Moving on. We had Big E versus Sheamus. Big E versus Sheamus, all right? This was a match that was set up on Friday on SmackDown. I had a feeling this match was going to be announced for Payback just because if you looked at the card going into, tonight, there was only about 4 matches announced. And clearly they're saving the IC title match, which is probably going to be a triple threat with Styles, Zayn, and Jeff Hardy. They're probably saving that for Clash of Champions. And so they weren't going to put that match on Payback with 2 days of build. So I could definitely see a match like this just to, put on the card. 2 really good superstars. This was a good match. It wasn't the, greatest match in the world. It wasn't anything special, but it was a good match. So I see why they put this match on the card. Fill in 10 to 15 minutes, and it was going to be a good fight between 2 brawlers. I still have a problem. Like, we know Big E's being built up, and I have a feeling that they could. Big E, right now, if I had to pick 2 people to win the Men's Royal Rumble this year or next year, 4 months from now when we get into 2021, right now I have Keith Lee and Big E Lakeson. I feel like those are 2 of the 2 favorites right now to win the Royal Rumble, especially with the way they're being built up. All right, I could definitely see Big E win the Royal Rumble and then challenge potentially a heel Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Will it happen? I don't know. But definitely they have big plans for Big E, and it's going to end with him probably either winning the WWE Championship or the IC Championship. They're clearly building him up. My problem is you don't have to strip Big E's entire identity. I don't want to see that. I don't think anybody wants to see that. All right, yes, he's part of the New Day, and Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods will eventually come back, and they're not going to break up the New Day. I am by the belief if they didn't break up the New Day when Kofi was champion, because some of us thought that they were going to have Big E challenge Kofi for the WWE Championship at some point. If they didn't do it then, they're not going to do it now. The New Day may stick together for the rest of their careers. They're one of the best stables of all time. We know that WWE wants to make them the longest, the best tag team of all time with all their tag team championship reigns and all that other nonsense. And I love the New Day. I just don't see them break it up. But the thing about it is, right now, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, they're not with Big E. They're not with Big E at the end of the day. So what you should be doing is having Big E develop his own character. Like I said, when Kofi and Xavier come back, they can support Big E, but right now Big E should be trying to form his own identity. Right now, all I see from Big E is New Day Big E. The gyrating boy with the New Day music, he's doing the same intro. Oh, Thunderdome! Don't you dare be sour! Clap for your world famous 8-time champs and feel the power! He's still doing that nonsense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my little Big E impression, even though I fucked up there. But You guys get my point, right? Like Big E, you see he should be filming his own identity right now. He should have, his own music. He should have his own Titan, his own theme. He should have different ring attire. And he should be more serious, more intense. Like he was when he first won the NXT Championship. When he won the Intercontinental Championship. When he was a heel and he was aligned with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee. All those years ago, back in like 2013. That's the Big E we should be seeing right now. Not the gyrating New Day Big E. All right, and the thing is, you want me to believe that you're trying to make this Big E singles run different than what you did with Kofi. To be honest, you're not doing anything differently than Kofi. The only difference is Kofi's singles run was unexpected because it came about because of Mustafa Ali getting injured thanks to Randy Orton last year. We all remember Kofi was never supposed to be put in that WWE Championship position. But it was the fans that got behind him. And I was so happy to see it because Kofi's one of my favorites all time. All right, but here you are. You're basically doing the same thing with Big E. The same thing here with Big E. There's almost nothing different other than, Big E's singles run was planned because Kofi went to management and he said he wanted to take some time off. Like, come on. If you're going to have Big E be a singles competitor for a little bit, make it different. Make it special. It looks rich and repeat to what you did with Kofi. It really does. And we don't know how good Big E is, and I want to get behind him. I do. But you can't have him doing the same old shit, bro. Like, you don't have to strip the entire New Day character from him, but at least make it look a little bit differently. Like, my goodness. Like, come on. Let's use some common sense here. Come on, people. But anyway, let's get into the match. Let's get into the match itself. The match wasn't bad. It wasn't anything, special. It was a good match. It was slow and methodical. Big E seized control, pounding away at Sheamus' chest. Then we saw he went for a splash, which looked kind of devastating on the ring apron. He didn't land it. Sheamus then gained the upper hand. He worked on the left knee of Big E. And then we saw Sheamus followed up with the Irish Curse backbreaker. Then he did a half crab, but Big E fought out of it and downed him with a Uranagi. Then Sheamus answered with a big shoulder block. He then did the Alabama Slam, which is basically very similar to White Noise. Big E then recovered, then did his spear through the ropes. Every time Big E does that spear, I cringe because I don't know how he masters it. Because every time he does it, it looks like he's about to break his neck. I don't know how he's able to do it. But back in the ring, we saw Big E go for the big ending, but Sheamus slid out, then went for a heel hook. I was kind of surprised we don't see Sheamus do submissions often, so I like that. People, forget how Sheamus is underrated. And one thing I'll give credit to Corey Graves here. One thing he did talk about was, how both Sheamus and Big E have both been singles champions before. We know Sheamus, he's won almost all the tag team titles. He's been a United States champion. He's been an IC champion. He's been a WWE champion. Big E's been an NXT champion and an IC champion. But how people don't really remember those reigns. And I kind of like that. That's good analysis by a commentator. So I got to give credit here to Corey Graves for bringing that up. Byron Saxton's clown ass can't do that. Like, come on. But I did like how, they brought up that analysis. So that's one thing. I like to focus on the small details. You guys know this. So I did like those details there by Corey Graves. But then we saw Sheamus deliver a huge jumping knee. Like a jumping knee that freaking Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Era would be proud of. Like this was a beautiful looking jumping knee. So got to give credit for what he did there. And then Big E caught Sheamus with a powerbomb and then finished him with the big ending for the win. After the match, Big E celebrated. There was like these drone cameras flying around, which kind of look cool. I would kind of like to see WWE use those drone cameras a little bit more. It was something unique, and I didn't mind it. I liked how it like zoomed in slowly from above on Big E. Looked pretty cool there. That's something you couldn't do in a full arena because the fans would get involved, and that wouldn't work. But after the match, we saw Big E. He approached Corey Graves at the ringside table, and he's like, "Peace to the people. I'm ready. I'm ready." So Sheamus was not happy on ringside. I could see this match happening again. You know how WWE is. They love to do rematches. Wouldn't be surprised if we see this match again on SmackDown. And maybe Sheamus gets the victory this time. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting. You know, where does Big E go from here? If they don't continue this with Sheamus, you know, they could have him go after Sami Zayn or AJ Styles, put him in the IC title hunt. You know, there's different avenues for him. They could have him feud with Baron Corbin, even though I don't care about that. But there are different routes they can go with Big E if they want. So, you know, happy for Big E. He got the victory. I just want him to develop more of a personality and an identity for himself going forward. That's my thoughts on that. Moving on. We had Matt Riddle versus King Corbin. You know, this match has been building for weeks. You know, they've been, you know, doing everything to keep Corbin away from Matt Riddle. They have Corbin doing the whole King's Ransom stupidity. There was, before the match began, Riddle was backstage. They have like a new backstage correspondent. So it looks like WWE was pretty fast to freaking replace Renee Young. You know, this new backstage correspondent, she's kind of pretty, but you can tell she was a little bit nervous for her first night on the job. But she basically said something about Matt Riddle. She said that Baron Corbin tweeted out something like, Matt Riddle's going to be a disappointment in the ring tonight. He's already a disappointment at home. You guys know Matt Riddle. There was accusations made against him because of the Me Too movement, even though those accusations against him were proven innocent. And, you know, like, I'm all for, you know, people that do disgusting things for them being exposed and, you know, being brought to justice for their crimes and their dirty deeds. But, you know, somebody like Matt Riddle, if he didn't do anything, why are you making up all these fake stories about him? Like, he's innocent, right? Innocent until proven guilty, and there's been no proof brought against him. So, you know, that's just my thoughts on that. That's a little bit of a side note there. But I still liked how they, you know, they brought a little bit of reality into this match. Because, you know, Matt Riddle, usually when he's there, he's like, "What's good, bro? Bro, man, look at King Corbin. He's killing my vibe, dude. Like, all I want to do is just have a good time here on SmackDown, have some matches, get some wins. But here comes this King Corbin, dude, who thinks he's a king when he's not. And, man, he just keeps getting in my way. Like, that's not cool, bro. Like, tonight, I'm going to teach him a lesson. And hopefully once I defeat him, he'll leave me alone for good. And then I can go on to this, chilling with my bros, having a good time. Like, really, bro? Come on, bro. What's good, bro? Yo, bro. You're not subscribed to Fitz TV, bro? You haven't hit a like on the video, bro? You haven't hit the bell yet for all notifications, bro? So you don't miss every time Fitzbunk posts a video, bro? What you doing, bro? You're not following Fitz on Twitter, bro? Man, look in the link. Go click the link in the description, bro. Make sure to follow him on all social media platforms, bro. Anyway, enough of that, you know. Like I said, I'm here to entertain you guys. That's what I'm here for, you know? Here to have a little bit of fun. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed a little bit of that. Post a video, bro. But anyway, let's get back into it. So, we got the match. King Corbin, of course, classic heel move. He attacked Matt Riddle before the bell. I watched the match. I was watching, you know, the show on Discord with my homies tonight, but I just didn't give a shit. I just didn't give a shit about this match. Oh, like, I love Matt Riddle. He's awesome. But King Corbin sucks. If you guys remember, it's been a year now. Remember, Sasha Banks came back a year ago. When Sasha came back, they were doing the King of the Ring tournament. So King Corbin's been King of the Ring for a year now. So are we going to have another King of the Ring tournament? I would love to have another one right now. Especially with all the young stars in WWE, use it to elevate those stars and make them be, you know, get to another level. Plus, I'm tired of the King Corbin gimmick. It's so bad. I never liked it from the beginning. It was ridiculous. King Corbin actually believing he was a king. When Stone Cold Steve Austin won King of the Ring, he didn't call himself a king of the ring. He didn't go around wearing a crown. You know what he did? He said, Austin 316 just said, I just whooped your ass and became the greatest superstar in WWE history. Like, I'm so over the King Corbin gimmick. And every single match of King Corbin's is the same. When you watch a Sasha Banks match, when you watch a Kofi Kingston match, when you watch a Daniel Bryan or an AJ Styles or an Adam Cole or a Johnny Gargano or a Keith Lee, when you watch their matches, it's different. No matter if it's the pace or the moveset, they're always trying new things because they're always trying to get better. They want to put on a better match for themselves and the product and for the people watching at home or in the arena or whatever. Right? King Corbin does the same shit every single match. The same moves. The same, around the post clothesline. The same deep six. Like, I absolutely hate it, bro. His matches are so boring. So boring. I don't get it. I don't get it. What they see in King Corbin. He sucks. He sucks, man. Like, the match wasn't bad or anything. It was boring. I don't know what people liked about this match tonight. But anyway, I liked here at the ending, we saw Riddle actually get serious. He showed some nice intensity here. And then we saw Corbin. It looked like he may injure one of his ribs tonight because, you could see he was holding his ribs from one of Riddle's stiff kicks. Riddle, man, like, he's a kickboxer. Those kicks definitely have to sting a little bit. But Corbin went for a deep six for a 2 count. Riddle caught Corbin with another kick to the midsection. Then hit him with the bro to sleep, which is basically just a GTS with the opposite knee. And he did the falling bro, which was basically moonsault. All right. I do love how most of his moves are named after bro, though. That's pretty cool. But he went for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Matt Riddle gets the victory, which I was a little bit surprised of because you know how WWE loves to drag on feuds for weeks and months, and it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's just a waste of all of our time and effort. Like, it's a nonsense. It's nonsense. But afterwards, Matt Riddle, he goes backstage. He's talking to the same backstage interviewer. Then out of nowhere, Corbin attacks him and puts him through a table. So clearly the feud's not over between these two. Definitely we're gonna see more of this. I don't really care for it. I don't care because it's King Corbin. But whatever. Anyway, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. This is the part where most of you guys have been waiting for. Sasha Banks and Bayley defending the Women's Tag Team Championships against Nia freaking Jax, the fat ass herself, and Shayna Baszler. There was a lot going into this match. The big story here is, could Sasha and Bayley keep those tag team titles, the titles that they've defended all summer since June? They've held those titles for almost 3 months, which is crazy. When you especially think about how long Sasha usually holds titles on the main roster, the fact that they held those titles for nearly 3 months is, a little bit wild to me. But, I don't know where you guys want me to start here. We all know Sasha lost the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. I gave the rant of the century. If you guys were not here for that review, go check it out, man. I did a 40-minute rant on that nonsense. But, going into tonight, Sasha cut a beautiful promo, and I didn't do a SmackDown review because I wasn't able to this weekend. But Sasha cut a beautiful promo, and if you guys weren't following me on Twitter, this is one of the reasons why you guys should be following me on Twitter, because when I'm not able to do reviews because of other stuff going on in my life, I usually live tweet my thoughts on Twitter. But, Sasha cut a beautiful promo Friday night on Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And you could tell the intensity in Sasha's voice, and she had a very strong babyface vibe. I loved it. And I was talking with somebody on Twitter this weekend, and people were like, oh, I don't want Sasha to go back to being the same old babyface she was before. First off, Sasha Banks as a babyface was great. She was great as a babyface. But I think we can all agree that Sasha as a heel is when she's at her best. NXT Sasha is Sasha at her best. As great as Sasha is now, we all know Sasha, character-wise, was at her best when she had the red hair and she was the NXT Women's Champion. Right? But Sasha as a babyface was great too. It's just that WWE never gave her the ball and let her run with it. She should have won the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 31. Or not WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 32. Against Charlotte and Becky Lynch in that triple threat match. That should have been the start of Sasha Banks' babyface run at the top as champ. She should have held that championship for all of that year, all of 2016, as the top babyface champ on Raw. But they didn't do it. And I hate that they didn't do it. I really do hate that, you know? And they just kept, you know, start and stop when Sasha was a babyface all throughout that time. You know, no matter if they kept pairing her with Bayley at 1 minute, frenemies, then they got back together, won the tag team titles, and then, you know, then Sasha showed some really great intensity in her feud with Ronda Rousey, and then she left after WrestleMania and she came back as a heel. Sasha's always been great as a babyface. It's just that WWE has never let Sasha run with it complete, right? I'm saying this right now. Sasha's turning babyface. They are setting it up. Even though, you know, Bayley, it doesn't seem like Bayley's going to turn on Sasha. It seems like it's more going to be something like Sasha's going to get frustrated with Bayley. And that's going to, you know, everyone's owing... people are already been saying for months that Bayley's been holding Sasha Banks back. Holding her back. And then eventually, Sasha's just going to get angry. And then she's just going to snap. All right, I want you guys to think back to when Becky Lynch turned on Charlotte. Was it 2 years ago? It's crazy how fast time goes. 2 years ago, SummerSlam 2018, when Becky snapped on Charlotte. Becky should have stayed babyface. The man Becky Lynch should have been born right there. But instead, WWE fucked it up. They tried to turn Becky heel. They tried to make us believe that Becky could be a heel. And even though she could, the fans refused to accept it. We wanted Becky as a babyface, and they had no other choice but to turn Becky back into a babyface. And that's how the man was born. That's what you gotta do with Sasha. Sasha's gonna turn on Bayley, but it's gonna be out of frustration, not out of jealousy. All right? People are going to see that Sasha's being held back by Bayley. Sasha's going to get frustrated enough, and then she's going to turn on Bayley. And that's going to make her into a babyface, not a heel. You're not turning Bayley back into a babyface anytime soon. It doesn't make sense. Bayley has all the heel tactics here. If you guys notice, every time Bayley and Sasha are cutting promos, Bayley's the one cutting off Sasha. Bayley's the one talking for the most part. Right? Anytime people, you know, are questioning the friendship between Sasha Banks and Bayley, Bayley's the one cutting in. Like, clearly, Bayley's the one that's going to be the heel here. And Sasha's going to be the babyface. If you guys can't get that clear. Plus, you know, Bayley's not going to bring back those damn Bayley buddies. She's not going to bring back the ponytail. She's doing fantastic as her job. If Sasha wasn't there, I would say Bayley's the best heel in the entire women's division. It's really that simple at the end of the day. Bayley's not turning heel anytime soon. Bayley's going to be the heel. Sasha's going to be the babyface. And that's what they're setting up here. All right? And, you know, clearly, with what happened on SmackDown, Sasha cut a beautiful promo. You don't need to change Sasha's entire character. You don't need to change her entire character to make her a babyface again. When Becky did, when, you know, Becky's attitude changed, yes, you kind of needed to because we had gotten used to the nice Becky, the last kicker Becky. We knew that Becky had that, you know, that fighting spirit. But when Becky, you know, turned into the man, she unleashed a whole new warrior on it. Yes, WWE made mistakes with Becky down the road. But still, when she first turned into the man, especially those first, like, 6 months from, like, you know, around Survivor Series when she turned babyface and it's around to WrestleMania, that was great. That's what you gotta do with Sasha. You don't need to change Sasha's entire character. You just gotta let her be intense and let her be that badass, legit boss. And then she will be the top babyface in the entire women's division, and she will carry the women's division to new heights. It's really that simple. All right, here in a couple moments, I'm going to fantasy book how I would do Sasha Banks and Bayley for the rest of the year. All right, I'm going to fancy book that in just a sec, but we also got to talk about the match. Because I'm talking about all this, but we actually have to talk about the match a little bit as well. All right. I'm seeing you guys in the chat. I love when you guys get active in the chat, especially when we talk about Sasha. All right. And I like what NBA YouTube said. Sasha could do both, but Bayley's better as a heel. You are 100% correct. Sasha has a babyface and a heel. It's kind of the same thing. Sasha could do both. Bayley's way better as a heel. I don't want Bayley going back to being babyface anytime soon. All right? I don't want to see the damn hugger return. Stop with that nonsense. Bayley's great at what she's doing right now, and she needs to stay heel for the foreseeable future. But getting into the match tonight, I personally wanted Sasha and Bayley to retain. Because like I said, I wanted Sasha and Bayley to drop those tag titles to Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. But, I'm not super mad. You guys see, I'm not ranting or anything. I'm not losing my shit like I did last week when I gave you guys the rant of the year. Like, because we knew Sasha and Bayley were going to have to drop those tag team titles eventually. And the way they did it tonight with Shayna Baszler was great. Yes, I hate the fact that Nia Jax is a tag champion. It's because, Nia Jax sucks. She sucks. Like, you guys don't understand. She sucks. That would have been a good tag team championship match with anybody else. With anybody else, bro. Put in friggin' Dana Brooke or Lacey Evans. Females that you guys know that I hate. You put them in that match and it's good. The only reason why that match wasn't as great as people, or as it could be, because you have Sasha Banks, you have Bayley, you have Shayna Baszler. 3 of the top female superstars in the women's division. The reason why that match stuck tonight is because Nia Jax is that garbage in the ring. She is terrible. Terrible. And if you don't think that after tonight, then you're freaking delusional. Delusional. All right? Oh my gosh. But Sasha came out, and I love the attire. This is easily one of my favorite Sasha ring gears of all time already. I say this every single pay-per-view, but you guys know red is my favorite color. Red and black are my favorite color combo. I love red and black. Love it. Sasha wearing red and black ring gear. Oh my gosh. And the thing about it is, the ring gear Sasha and Bayley had on tonight was Hardy Boys inspired, which I absolutely loved. If you guys watched the Hardy Boys from back in the day, you guys know what I'm talking about. I love it. Mikaze, man, he is a genius. Fantastic ring gear from Sasha Banks and Bayley tonight. I need Sasha to either go back to the red hair, or I need Sasha to dye her hair or take out her wig and just, wrestle with her black natural hair. Wear that ring gear, bro. Freaking incredible. I absolutely love it. Red and black, absolutely amazing. I know I'm geeking out right now, but it was tremendous. I love it. Love that ring gear tonight. Easily one of my favorites all time already. Loved it. So then Baszler and Nia came out. And, the main reason why I thought Sasha and Bayley were retaining, because look at Nia and Shayna, they don't work together. They're not a tag team. Here you have Sasha and Bayley, who have done everything to elevate the women's division, to elevate those tag team titles. And you're going to give them to a team that's not even a team? A team that you just made it randomly Monday night. I hate when WWE does this, bro. Even though I'm not that mad that Sasha and Bayley lost the tag titles, I'm mad of who they gave them to. Shayna is a singles competitor at the end of the day. She should be fighting for the Raw Women's Championship. Is Shayna going to go fight Asuka now? Or are we going to get something like Bianca Belair or something like that? Like, what's the deal there? And Nia Jax, she sucks. They're not a team. They're not a team. At least you're going to have Sasha and Bayley, drop those titles. At least have them drop them to an actual team. I hate when they do that. Like when Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins won the Raw Tag Team titles. Or when freaking Braun Strowman and Nicholas, 10-year-old Nicholas, won the tag team titles at WrestleMania 34. I hate makeshift tag teams. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. But getting to the match itself, the match, Look, like I said, if there was anybody other than Nia Jax, this would have been a good match. Nia is just that bad in the ring. So Baszler went after Sasha early, and then Sasha tagged in Bayley. Then Shayna got the upper hand on Bayley. Then we saw Bayley send Baszler into Jax, and then Jax got knocked off the ring apron by Sasha, and it looked like she potentially injured her knee. So I thought that was going to be the story, but Nia didn't even sell it. Nia barely sold her knee the rest of the match, which is wrestling 101. If you get an injury, real or fake, during a match, you sell it. Nia is so bad, bro. So all of a sudden, Baszler got put down. Jax wiped out Bayley on the floor. Then Ragdoll. I was scared for this because you guys know how unsafe a worker Nia is. Right? Nia is so bad. She takes Sasha and then she starts throwing her into the guardrail. That's the same way Kairi Sane got a concussion a couple months ago. Like, Nia, oh my gosh. I hate it. Either Sasha's a amazing seller or Nia's just that terrible. It's probably a little bit of both, to be honest, man. I hate when she does that. And my bro is texting me. Anyway, then we saw Shayna tied herself back in, unloaded on Bayley, scoring a near fall. Jax missed a leg drop and Bayley teased a knee bar. Jax escaped, and this was terrible. Bayley, when she went for the knee bar, Nia is so bad that Nia refused to even go all the way down on her front side. She didn't even go all the way down. She went halfway. Who sells a knee bar from halfway, bro? This is what gets me angry. You gave Nia the tag team title belt when she can't even sell a knee bar correctly? Really? You're that fat. You're that bad that you can't even get down all the way down to sell a knee bar from your opponent. Absolutely freaking atrocious. Like, come on. Fucking hate nonsense like that, bro. Hey, what up, Paul? Good to see you, bro. I know you're in the Discord chat, but my boy, you up, Paul? We watched Payback tonight. But anyway, getting back into it, Nia Jax sucks. She does suck. But then Bayley got back in. I'm looking at my notes. All right, after the terrible knee bar spot, we saw Bayley get dragged by Nia across the ring. Baszler got tagged in. Then we saw Shayna get a near fall. Then she dove Sasha Banks into the mat. Then we see Sasha fall out of a powerbomb from Nia Jax, and she drove Nia Jax face first. It was basically a face buster, which looked really good. I loved it. Bayley then did a top rope elbow drop, then Sasha did the frog splash. I thought that was going to be the end of the match, but Nia kicked out at 2. It was at that point where I was like, Sasha and Bayley are definitely losing the tag team titles. Then they did a backdrop on Jax. Baszler entered legally. She supplied a Mutalock to Banks and a Kirifuda clutch to Bayley. Absolutely brilliant. Shayna, brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Then Shayna used Sasha's arm to her own advantage while keeping Bayley into the Kirifuda clutch. Then Baszler forced a tap out on Bayley to win the titles. Absolutely brilliant. One of the, most unique endings to a match we've seen in recent memory. Shayna Baszler is a made woman. I said this at the beginning of the podcast. When Shayna first lost, first of all, Shayna should have won the Royal Rumble. It should have never been Charlotte. But when Shayna lost to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, I bitched, I moaned, I complained. Because that should have never been the thing. Especially knowing that Becky pitched. Becky told WWE that she was pregnant beforehand. And she pitched to drop the title to Shayna at Mania. To make Shayna look good. It mind boggles me that WWE superstars know better than management and Vince himself. I really don't understand that. I never get that. How dumb management can be at times. But anyway, getting back into it, Baszler should have never lost to Becky Lynch to begin with. She should be the Raw Women's Champion right now, to be honest. Shayna should have won that Raw Women's Championship and held that throughout the entire summer. But instead, man, we thought Shayna was never going to get back to where she was. Remember, Shayna didn't even make it to the roof at Money in the Bank, but still, she was great. She was great tonight. And, Sasha and Bayley, we said this. I said this. Sasha and Bayley as the two-woman power duo. Even though that's over now, Sasha is no longer two belts banks. She's no belts banks now. She has no more titles, which is sad. And it's kind of crazy now. As we're right about to enter September starts on Tuesday. The summer of Sasha is over. It's over, man. Sasha and Bayley won the tag titles at the beginning of the summer, back in early June. Sasha became two belts banks. They were the two-woman power duo. They held all the gold. And I said this on every podcast. I said Sasha and Bayley holding all the gold is the best thing for the women's division because they've been the best workers in the entire company since the pandemic started, back when we had nobody in the performance center. They've been the hardest working and the best workers in the entire company. So they deserve this. Plus, they're going to elevate the women's division. At the end of the day, yes, the biggest story here is Sasha and Bayley, and I cannot wait to see where they go with it, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But at the end of the day, they've elevated all the divisions. They went down the NXT. They elevated that division with what they did with Io Shirai and what they did with Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart and, defending the tag titles down there. And then going over to Monday Night Raw, Sasha become the Raw Women's Champion. Defeating Asuka and Kairi Sane. Defeating Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Defeating the Iconics. Defeating all these good teams. You know what I mean? And then what Bayley's been doing on SmackDown with the SmackDown Women's Championship. They've elevated all three brands of the women's division. And they've put people over. Sasha Banks, yes, she's an 8-time women's champion. But I say this all the time. She's never had any long reigns on the main roster. And she's the best female wrestler in the world. Because she is constantly putting others over. She is constantly elevating other people. And I pray that one day she gets her moment. I really do. Because they made Shayna Baszler look like a star tonight. Just like they made Asuka look better at the end of the day. And the NXT talent. Remember when Sasha and Bayley first originally went to Vince McMahon back in 2019. When they first wanted the tag team titles. They were supposed to hold those titles for all of the year. They were supposed to defend those titles on an NXT TakeOver. Go to Raw, go to SmackDown. And they never did. Because Vince McMahon is an out-of-touch 70-year-old man. It's one of the reasons why Sasha went on hiatus for 4 months last year. And I'm just happy that Sasha and Bayley got the reign that they wanted. They got to go to NXT. They got to go to Raw. They defended those titles against all the teams in the division. The one thing I'm unhappy about is I wanted them to drop the titles to the Riot Squad. Not to a team that's not going to be a team a month from now. How long do you think Nia and Shayna are holding those titles for? They're not holding those titles for more than a month. Really. And if I'm WWE, I don't want to do a rematch. They probably will, because you know how WWE is. They're lazy and uncreative. They're probably going to do a rematch for the tag titles somewhere, maybe this week, maybe at Clash of Champions, because remember at Clash of Champions, all titles have to be defended. But I don't want to see a rematch because we know Sasha and Bayley aren't going to win. They're not going to regain the tag titles. Just like I was unhappy with us getting Sasha and Asuka in a lumberjack match last Monday on Raw. As great as Sasha Banks and Asuka are, and I can watch them wrestle all day, 24/7, 365, but, we knew Sasha was not regaining the Raw Women's Championship on Monday, so I didn't want to see the match again. Why did we have to see Sasha tap out 2 days in a row? And, I'm just like, why? That's really the only thing I have to complain on here. They made Shayna look like a star at the end of the day. They elevated the women's division. And sadly, the tag team titles are going to go right back to catering. Because Nia and Shayna aren't going to do anything with them. They'll probably drop those titles to the Riot Squad eventually. Maybe at Clash of Champions. Who knows? Who cares? But like I said earlier, I don't care about the tag titles anymore that they're not on Sasha and Bayley. You need to make me care about the tag titles now. I cared about the titles because they were on Sasha and Bayley. And we knew Sasha and Bayley were going to do everything in their power to make those titles look important. Now that those titles are no longer on Sasha and Bayley, we're not going to see them on Monday Night Raw. We're not going to see them on NXT because there's no reason for them to be on the show. They're not tag team champions. They have no reason to be there. So now my excitement level for Raw goes down a little bit because I'm not going to be able to see Sasha on Raw every single week. which is sad, but still, Sasha and Bayley should have lost those titles to the Iconics. Because Shayna and Nia are not going to be a team a couple months from now. They're not. Shayna's going to go back to being a single star, and Nia's going to do whatever. And but the thing about it is, I got to give props to Sasha Banks and Bayley for elevating Shayna the way they did tonight. I don't see Vince McMahon booking an ending like that. I feel like Sasha and Bayley went to Vince or went to whoever and like, let's make Shayna look like the biggest badass we can coming out of Payback. And they did. And I'm happy for Shayna. She really did. All right? I don't like how they executed the tag team title thing because Nia and Shayna are not a team, but Sasha and Bayley elevated the women's division just like we all said they would. It's that factual at the end of the day. It really is, and you can't debate me on that. You can't debate me on that. I don't care what anybody says, all right? But, I know you guys want me to give my fantasy booking. Where do Sasha and Bayley go from here? Because remember, even though Sasha was pinned to the mat, Sasha was not the legal woman. Sasha didn't tap out at all. Bayley was the one that was in the careful cut. And Bayley was the one to tap out. I said this. What have you guys noticed in every single one of Sasha and Bayley's tag team title matches? What have you guys noticed? Sasha always picks up the W. No matter if it was against the Kubaki Warriors or Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross or, Tegan Nox and Sachi Blackheart or the Iconics, Sasha was always winning no matter if it was a roll-up or, via bank statement. Sasha always gets the victory. And now, when it comes to them losing the tag titles, the only belt Sasha had left, right? At the end of the day, Bayley's still SmackDown Women's Champion. But the thing is now Sasha has no belts. In 1 week time, Sasha went from 2 belts Banks to 1 belt to 0 belts. And I hate that. And you guys see, if you guys look at the thumbnail, you guys saw the photos, the look on Sasha's face, the same look she's been having all week. The same look she had when she lost to Asuka at SummerSlam, the same look she had on Asuka, or, when she lost to Asuka the next night on Raw. Sasha is not happy. She is emotional. And you guys looked, Sasha was looking at Bayley because Bayley tapped out. Sasha didn't get pinned. Sasha didn't tap out. Bayley lost the tag team titles. So first off, Bayley didn't help Sasha retain the Raw Women's Championship on Monday or on Sunday at SummerSlam. The next night, Bayley fails once again. Even though Shayna Baszler got involved, Bayley was not able to help Sasha regain the Raw Women's Championship from Asuka. And now tonight, to put a cherry on top, Sasha has to watch as Bayley taps out to Shayna Baszler. And you can see Sasha, as she's staring down the tag champs, she's also staring at Bayley. And at first, I was just like, please, Sasha, just hit her right now. Hit her right now. Because if you looked on it, commentary was more talking about Sasha. You can see Michael and Corey Graves, they weren't really talking about Bayley, because at the end of the day, Bayley's still SmackDown Women's Champion. She's still the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion of all time. But in 1 week, Sasha's lost all her gold. And it wasn't even her fault. So, Michael Cole said something like, I actually feel bad for Sasha. That's the story here. The story here is Sasha having no titles and Bayley being the one to tap out. This is setting up for Sasha to turn babyface because her frustration with Bayley. I don't know what's going to happen. I've heard rumors that the WWE Evolution could be happening at the end of October. I don't think that would be a smart move. Honestly, I think there's way too many pay-per-views right now. Like, it's already one pay-per-view is enough, but we just had 2 pay-per-views 2 weeks in a row with SummerSlam tonight and now Payback, or SummerSlam last week and Payback tonight. So I think we need a little bit of a break from pay-per-views. I know we have Clash of Champions at the end of September, which is 4 weeks away, and all titles will be defended on that show. So could we get Sasha and Bayley there? I don't want us to get it there. I want Sasha and Bayley to be in front of the best environment possible. And yes, I don't mind the WWE Thunderdome, but, at the end of the day, I don't like, the looped crowd noise. How it sounds like a freaking soccer arena on there. AEW has fans again. We've been talking about that all throughout the week. I feel like WWE is going to have fans again by the time Survivor Series comes around. If you're going to do Sasha Banks and Bayley, I would save it for Survivor Series. And this is where my fantasy booking. You guys have been waiting for the fantasy booking. All right. All right, so I'm going to give you guys what I think should happen. Will WWE listen? No, they don't listen to me. All right, but clearly, Sasha's turning babyface because of her frustration with Bayley. I don't think they're going to do the match at Clash of Champions. I don't. If they do, fine. Because then we'll probably get Sasha and Bayley at Hell in a Cell, and Sasha can finally avenge those 2 Hell in a Cell matches she should have never lost to Becky and Charlotte. Because clearly Sasha's going to be the face, right? But the way I would do it. And like I said, I'm the best fantasy booker here on YouTube. All right, let's just have fun with this. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I see Anthony's in the chat. You know, he always shows up when we're talking about Sasha. He always puts in his little negative stuff, but we all know how it goes. But this is the way I would do it. All right, so Sasha's going to be frustrated now with Bayley. If I'm Sasha, this is what I would do. This Friday on SmackDown, I'm willing to bet you're going to have Bayley and Sasha in the ring cutting a promo. Bayley's going to be talking about how disappointed she is that, you know, she's no longer Bayley Dostraps, and now how Sasha doesn't have a championship. And now Bayley's going to try to, you know, cheer Sasha up. But, you guys have seen Bayley's been taking these mini cheap shots at, you know, Sasha, right? Bayley said on SmackDown on Friday how Sasha can never defend a Raw Women's Championship. She also said how some people are only meant to hold a tag team championship. So she's taking these little cheap shots at Sasha. So clearly, you know, why would Bayley be the one taking cheap shots if, you know, Bayley was going to turn babyface? Clearly, like I said, Sasha's the one that's turning babyface here. It's the only thing that makes any sense. So then, what happens here is, what I would do is, Bayley tries to cheer Sasha up, but Sasha's not having none of it. I would have Sasha just snap. You don't do the full breakup there, but you plant a big seed. Sasha gets pissed at Bayley. Just be like, shut up, get out of my face. Like, you tapped out. I didn't lose our tag team titles. You lost our tag team titles at Payback. You know, every time we had a title match, I'm the one that won. Remember when Sasha and Bayley first won the tag team titles, Bayley tagged herself in. Bayley tagged herself in when Sasha had Cross in the bake statement. And then Bayley tagged herself in, told Sasha to go to the outside. Then, you know, Bayley tried to do her own version of the bank statement, and Cross rolled her up. And if Sasha wasn't there, Sasha and Bayley would have lost the match. So clearly, if I'm Sasha, I'm remembering all this stuff that's happened this past year. And I'm just like, you cost us the tag team titles at Payback. You almost cost us winning the tag team titles back in June. And every tag team title match we had, I won the match for us while you were on the outside. I won us all our tag matches. You know, so if anything, I was the one most responsible for our tag team championship reign. And you the one that cost us that. So if I'm Sasha, I'm very frustrated with Bayley. I'm not doing that whole lackey shit like, oh, I'm just happy to be with my best friend. No, I'm pissed. You lost us the tag team title belt. You didn't help me against Asuka the same way I helped you and almost every one of your champions' defenses. I always have your back, but you can't do the same for me. All right, and then now you have all these teases. Like I said, I would not do Sasha and Bayley at Clash of Champions. I would save it for at least Survivor Series. I would do their first match at Survivor Series. Notice how I said their first match at Survivor Series. Like I said, if they do it at Clash of Champions, whatever. You know, there's nothing I can do with that. I don't make the decisions. And then, you know, we'll have Sasha and Bayley at Hell in a Cell. But if I'm them, I would wait till Survivor Series because I'm willing to bet. Remember, WWE's only going to be doing the Thunderdome in Amway Center until the end of October, which is about another 2 months. Survivor Series takes place in November. With AEW having live fans, I'm willing to bet by then, if we don't have a second wave of COVID, I think we're going to have Sasha and Bayley at Survivor Series. You can have, you know, do whatever. Maybe if Asuka's still the Raw Women's Champion, maybe you can have her go up against Io Shirai in the Dream match. I think that would be pretty cool. But I would do Sasha and Bayley separate in their own match at Survivor Series. And I don't think anybody would complain on that because we've seen Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles at Survivor Series in the past. Like, you can have championship matches. It doesn't have to be the typical brand versus brand, champion versus champion shit. If you have a feud, do it. So what I would do Sasha and Bayley at Survivor Series, but I would not have Sasha win the championship there. I would have some kind of fuck finish. Maybe Bayley, cheats somehow. Maybe thumb to the something. Something goes down. So by this point, Sasha's babyface. All right, Bayley using heel maneuvers cheats her way to victory, right? And then I would have Bayley take out Sasha. I would have Bayley take out Sasha after Survivor Series. Sasha's out here wanting a rematch. But I would have Bayley take out Sasha. Have Sasha stay out the rest of the year. And we don't see Sasha to the Women's Royal Rumble in January. That's what I would do. So from November to January, we don't see Sasha because she's selling the attack from Bayley. Sasha comes back, wins the Women's Royal Rumble, then goes on to WrestleMania, wins the SmackDown Women's Championship. She finally gets her Grand Slam championship. She finally gets her first WrestleMania victory. She gets her big babyface moment, the one she's been deserving forever. And we finally get the big match with Bayley. And then at the next pay-per-view, whatever it is, I forget what's the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. I think it's Money in the Bank. If you want, then you do Sasha versus Bayley for the final time. Maybe with some kind of stipulation. Maybe like, last woman standing or something like that. Hopefully by then, things are back to normal. But that's the way I would book Sasha Bayley. So for you guys that didn't get to see that, all right, basically, I'm going to explain this one more time very quickly. I would not do Sasha Banks versus Bayley at Clash of Champions or Hell in a Cell. If they do that, that's their decision. What I would do, I would have Sasha versus Bayley at Survivor Series with a crowd because they deserve the biggest, audience possible. I would have Sasha versus Bayley at Survivor Series. Sasha's the babyface. I would have Bayley cheat her way to victory. Then I would have Bayley take Sasha off of television. All right, I would have Bayley attack Sasha, take her off TV. We don't see Sasha for the rest of the year. She comes back at the Royal Rumble in January, wins the Women's Royal Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania, gets her big match at WrestleMania with Bayley, wins the SmackDown Women's title, gets her big moment. That's what I would do. All right, I see something. NBA YouTube says they should do the first ever women's I Quit match. That would be fucking insane, bro. I would love to see that. We all know how WWE loves doing first evers. That would be fantastic. I would not be against that at all. And a women's I Quit match, that is an amazing idea, bro. I love that. Ultrinsic Paul says, if you would have told me 3 years ago that one day we would get face Sasha Banks versus heel Bayley, I would have called you crazy. Wild how fast shit changes. Right, bro? I'm really happy that we're getting, babyface Sasha. Because like I said, I didn't want to see heels. If we got heel Sasha versus babyface Bayley, I wouldn't complain. But we've already seen that in NXT. The story is calling for babyface Sasha versus heel Bayley. Because everyone wants to see Sasha get her moment. Sasha deserves to have a long title reign. And it's about time she gets it. I'm tired of Sasha putting other people over and not getting put over herself. Sasha has given back so much to the women's division and still hasn't gotten that big time run that she deserves. And it makes me sick to my stomach, bro. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of my fantasy booking? I know I'm the king of fantasy booking, but let me know what you guys think of the idea I gave you guys. So, Sasha versus Bayley at Survivor Series. Bayley wins by cheating. Then she attacks Sasha, takes her off television. Sasha comes back, wins the Women's Royal Rumble, then goes on to beat Bayley at WrestleMania. And we finally get the Sasha title reign that we've been waiting for so long. All right. Joseph says, I'm just waiting for Sasha to get to a point where she shaves Bayley's head. I love that. That would be cool. Edward says they had a women's I Quit match years ago with Beth and Melina. Oh, please. Who cares about that? Who cares about that? Nobody cares about that match, bro. Not trying to be rude, but who gives a shit? Anyway, moving on. And the biggest shock of the night, Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. This was a match I was really hyped for. I love Keith Lee. I love Randy Orton, two of my favorite superstars on the main roster. But the big thing that I was looking forward to going into this match is, what were they going to do with Keith Lee's theme song? If you guys saw on Monday, the biggest thing a lot of us were bitching and moaning about was Keith Lee's theme song. How the hell could you change Keith Lee's theme? It made no sense. It made no sense at the end of the day. Like, why would you do it? Why? He had one of the best theme songs in all of WWE. All bask in his glory. For he is limitless. Bask in his glory. All bask in his glory, for he is limitless. Bask in his glory. All bask in his glory, for he is limitless. I missed the part when he goes like, Keith Lee! Like, come on, how can you fuck that up? And I know I read something this week that, WWE is considering changing a lot of other theme songs because the CFO, the people that WWE usually do their theme songs with, they signed like a whole new deal with another company, which takes a lot of the royalties away from WWE. But still, man, and we heard rumors that Keith Lee was getting a new theme song tonight. And I was looking to it, but it's the same theme song. They made a couple changes to it, but it's still the same terrible theme song. Like, Keith Lee said on his Twitter that he's going to work on it, but you guys got to be patient with him. It's not, the most important thing right now, but still, man, I hate that. Why did you have to go change his theme song, bro? Like, come on. And plus, they have Keith Lee wrestling in these ridiculous shirts. Like, with Kevin Owens, when he wears a shirt, it makes sense. Like, he's been wrestling with shirts almost in his entire wrestling career. It fits with his gimmick. It fits with his attire. It looks weird on Keith Lee when he wears a shirt, bro. He looks ridiculous. Like, Ashley, what's the problem with Keith Lee? Why can't he wrestle shirtless? He's not that fat. He looks good for his size. He's one of the most athletic big men we've ever seen. Like, what is this, man, with them making all these changes to his character? And I hope Vince didn't tell him to shave either. Keith Lee looks amazing with a beard. Like, bro, man, like, come on. Like, the only thing I liked about Keith Lee's entrance tonight is, if you guys know, I am a huge Dragon Ball fan. I do anime content on this channel all the time when I'm not doing wrestling content. Keith Lee, his signature move, the Spirit Bomb, that power bomb he does, which is what he won tonight, which we'll talk about in just a couple seconds. And his finisher, the Big Bang Catastrophe, those finishing moves are named after Dragon Ball moves. You guys should know that, or at least I hope you guys know that. Those are moves named after Dragon Ball moves. So definitely my favorite anime of all time. Plus, Keith Lee came out with a Saiyan sweater. I loved it. So basically, if you guys seen Saiyans from Dragon Ball, they usually have these very creative armors. Basically, his outfit tonight, his ring gear, was inspired from that, which I loved. That was the only part of his entrance that I loved. But come on, man, fix his theme song and let him wrestle shirtless. Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense, bro. Like, who the hell loved that? Like, come on. Oh, Christopher Carter says, Street Fight match. If Banks wins, she stays on SmackDown, but if she loses, she will go to Raw booked. What do you mean, Chris? Are you saying that was booked already, or are you just giving that as as an idea? I don't know. That's the first I've heard about that. I don't know if I would do that. Maybe down the line, but right now, no, I wouldn't do that. But either way, it is what it is. But getting back into it, the match itself, this was very good. It was very fast paced, but it was really good. So, oh yeah. So Drew McIntyre, you guys heard, the injury that he got from Randy Orton was it was a hairline injury. So there was a fracture on his hairline. The third punt kick that Randy gave Drew was absolutely brutal. Like, brutal. I would not be surprised if Drew didn't have an actual, concussion from that shit, bro. But anyway, we saw Randy Orton did some loud ass chops. He goes up to Keith Lee's face like, you need to show me some respect, and just chops this dude in the chest 3 times, super loud. Especially with them not really having fans there, you can really hear those chops echoing, into the arena. But then we saw Lee smack him back with a nice little shoulder into the ring post. Orton followed up with a side suplex onto the announce table before grounding him back in the ring. Then we saw Keith show his power. He threw Orton back out of the ring and delivered a side suplex of his own onto the table. Then we saw Orton catch Lee with a kick to the chest and down him with a draping DDT. But then Lee recovered, power out of an RKO. I was kind of surprised that Randy went for the RKO so fast, because I honestly thought this match could go 20-25 minutes. This is 2 of the best on WWE's roster. But for less than 10 minutes, this was really good. Lee powered out of the RKO, hit him with the spirit bomb, and won 1, 2, 3. So Keith Lee, man. Keith Lee gets the shocking victory. Absolutely. This was most people saw, Orton winning this after a huge fight from Keith Lee. But no, Keith Lee wins clean and in less than 10 minutes. That's another thing. So, absolutely crazy. Crazy, man. But this is huge for Keith Lee. I'm very happy for him. But now, where do we go? Where do we go from here? Because Randy Orton, now, that momentum you gave him, you had him, punting Big Show and Christian and Edge and Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Now, last week, he loses to a backslide by Drew McIntyre. And then tonight, he loses clean to Keith Lee in less than 10 minutes. And yes, this is huge for Keith Lee. And we know that we're going to get another Randy Orton Drew McIntyre match down the line. But still, that's going to take away, a good amount of Randy Orton's momentum, especially since he lost clean with no interference, no nothing. I thought maybe McIntyre would interfere, but no, there was nothing in this match. So now you got to make an argument that possibly Keith Lee belongs in the WWE Championship picture. He beat the number 1 contender. So I don't know. Do we get like a triple threat match at Clash of Champions? Orton versus McIntyre versus Lee? It's quite possible. I'm very happy for Keith Lee. Definitely this is huge for him. And it skyrockets him. You beat, out of the men's superstars, you beat the number 1 men on the main roster for the male superstars other than Drew McIntyre. So this is huge. Huge for him. Like I said, I think Keith Lee and Big E should be the favorites right now to win the Men's Royal Rumble. I would love to see, Keith Lee win the Men's Royal Rumble and challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Remember when we got that Keith Lee-Roman Reigns interaction at Survivor Series last year? And Roman said, I would love to face Keith Lee in a match down the line. I would love, remember, one thing, when someone wins a Royal Rumble these days, they usually challenge the superstar on their brand. We don't get to see them, actually go to another brand to challenge a superstar for a title. I miss those days, but I know someone's going to say Charlotte in the comment section, like how Charlotte won the Women's Royal Rumble and won the NXT. Let's not talk about Charlotte, please. Let's not talk about her. But what I would do is I would have Keith Lee or Big E, whoever wins the Men's Royal Rumble, I'd have one of those 2 win and go on to challenge Roman Reigns if he is still Universal Champion by the time WrestleMania comes around. That's how I would do it. I would love to see Keith Lee do it. A babyface Keith Lee versus a heel Roman Reigns. That is a big-time WrestleMania match, and I would love to see it. Hopefully we get that. Hopefully we do get that. All right, but this is huge for Keith Lee. Definitely, this is going to be huge to see. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens to him going forward. Does he go after the WWE title now? Does he get, a different feud to start him off? I don't know. Maybe they send Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley for the United States title. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be kind of cool to see. But I don't know. Maybe you do Keith Lee versus Seth Rollins. There's lots of things you can do with Keith Lee. Lots of things. But I'm happy he got the win tonight. It's just going to be interesting to see where they go with him going forward. Moving on. Actually, on YouTube, there is a video right now, a backstage interview with Sasha Banks and Bayley. It's called Bayley and Sasha Banks Are in Disarray. So I want to see this. I can't play the clip for you guys, but you guys can probably hear it.
Bayley, Sasha.
So I'll put my volume up so you guys can hopefully hear it.
Bayley, Sasha, can I get your thoughts on what just happened?
So basically in the clip, you guys couldn't see, but the backstage interviewer guy tried to, catch up with Sasha and Bayley, and Sasha and Bayley were not having it. And you could see Sasha's look told the whole story. She was up in Bayley's face, like, what the hell happened out there, all this other stuff. So I like those little teases. I don't know if we'll see Sasha and Bayley on Raw tomorrow night, but it will be interesting. We are getting closer to Sasha and Bayley finally happening, which is exciting. Moving on. We had Rey Mysterio and Dominic versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. This pissed me off. Well, not the match. It's more that we just saw this match on Monday, and they gave us the match again. And the only way doing this match made sense is giving us a different outcome. You had the heels win on Monday. You had Retribution get involved and attack Dominic and Rey after the match. Tonight, the babyfaces had to win. And I know there's rumors saying Seth's going to be leaving the company soon because, Becky's going to get pregnant. But like I said, I don't see that happen till at least for another month and a half maybe. Maybe around October, that's when we finally see Seth leave. But still, this was a really good match. Dominic is getting better in the ring. At first, I didn't really care about it, but seeing Dominic, just in 1 week, Dominic looks like a completely different wrestler. I'm not saying he's one of the best in the world or anything like that, but he can hold his own out there. He's definitely better than Nia Jax, I'll say that. Really. He really is he's Rey's father, all right. Or not Rey's father, Rey's son. He really is Rey Mysterio's son at the end of the day. He's getting better and better. I still need Dominic to put some meat on his bones, but he's getting better each and every single week. And he's not wrestling with that stupid-ass hood. All right, you guys saw me complain about this last week. That stupid-ass hood, bro. That shit had to go. So I'm happy he doesn't have that anymore. Absolutely ridiculous. So, basically, very early in the match, we saw Dominic take control, and he was using a lot of quick offense, shades of his father, to keep both the Messiah and Buddy Murphy off guard. Then there was a part where Mysterio said, "Get your punk ass in here." Love that intensity that was being put around. So then we saw the heels take him over, of course. That's what always happens in these types of matches. Then Rollins and Murphy worked over Dominic, so really good. Rollins taunted him, saying, "Come on, kid, show me what you got. Your father's watching. You don't want to embarrass him." So I love when Seth's in that trash-talking mode. So then we saw Dominic. He made a comeback at ringside. Then he tagged his father in. Rey unloaded months of frustration and anger on Rollins, delivered a moonsault for a near fall. Murphy broke up with another 2 count. Then he ate a beautiful DDT, swing DDT from Dominic. Beautiful. One of the best spots of the night, if you ask me. Rollins delivered the sling blade to Dominic. Excuse me. Then he walked into a seated senton from Rey. Rollins recovered and caught Rey with a code breaker. Like I said, I'm tired of seeing everyone do code breakers now. Then he did a sidekick. Then we saw Rollins send Mysterio into the barricade and set up for a double team maneuver with Murphy. This was I like what they did with this ending. You're not gonna have Rollins take the pin, and you already had Dominic and Rey lose Monday on Raw. So the only explanation is if you got the babyfaces win and get some sort of revenge, that's why you have Murphy. Murphy, no one's gonna care if Murphy loses. He's not on the level of a Dominic or a Rey or a Seth Rollins in terms of being a superstar, right? So he basically they went for a double team move, but Murphy accidentally caught He caught Seth in the head with a brutal kick instead of Ray, who was the intended target. Then this would set up a frog splash from Dominic, which would get the victory. So a 619 frog splash combo gets the win for Dominic and Ray. After the match, Buddy Murphy was, trying to apologize for Seth, but Seth was clearly unhappy with his disciple as he walked away, very angry. He stared down Dominic and Ray, hinting that this is still not over yet. But either way, though, this was a good match. Good match. Happy to see Dominic improving. Well, I want to see that every single week. We should be seeing that with him every single week. But, he looked really good out there tonight. It was a good match. The babyfaces do get the victory. I don't know where we go from here. Definitely, I think you should potentially you could build up Dominic and Ray to become Raw Tag Team Champions at some point. I think that would be something kind of cool. You build them up, especially the fact that you don't really have many teams in that Raw Tag Team division. Putting Dominic and Ray in here after they're done with this Seth Rollins feud, I feel like that would be a really good boost for the Raw Tag Team division. But we'll just have to see where they go from here. But overall, good match. Dominic and Ray get the win. Dominic gets his first official WWE victory. So moving on here into the main event, we had a triple threat no holds barred match for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, the heel Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and the bald Braun Strowman. I said on the SummerSlam podcast last week that this was going to be the match for Payback. You weren't going to do Roman 101 with Braun Strowman, or you weren't going to do Roman versus The Fiend 101. The Fiend versus Roman is a bigger match that we're going to see down the line, probably at Hell in a Cell. 1 year from the catastrophe that was the Seth Rollins versus The Fiend Hell in a Cell match, but still. So this match was what should have been the match last week. This what we saw, because Roman didn't come until the match was 80% finished, and we'll talk about that and my problem with that in just a sec. But with the Fiend and Strowman, what they did here, this is what their match should have done, or should have been last week. Because remember, their match last week was no disqualification, and it was terrible. It was awful. But what they did tonight, this was really good. Really good, and I like that. I really did. And I'm just looking at Bleacher Report. I'm looking at Bleacher Report, and the way they're reacting to this is actually hilarious. Hilarious, but still. First of all, when you put Braun Strowman in the main event, 80% of the time I'm going to throw up. 80% of the time I'm going to throw up. But the fact that they delivered here. And earlier in the night, Paul Heyman was asked by I think it was Caleb Braxton. Will Roman be appearing tonight? Will Roman be signing the contract for the match tonight? And we were like, and Paul Heyman was like, I expect him to. Like, why wouldn't he? He made a promise on SmackDown. But the thing about it is, if you want that answer, you're gonna have to ask Roman. And the thing about it is, like I said, I didn't do a SmackDown review, so I never got to give my thoughts on the Roman Reigns heel turn. I am so happy that Roman is finally turning heel. I've been bitching and moaning on this podcast for who knows how many years now. I've been talking about this for years, that this is the direction they should have gone with Roman's character. For years. You want Roman to be the top babyface in the company? You have to turn him heel. Because people were already sick and tired of his babyface character. There was nothing special about it. It just felt like a John Cena bootleg. And like John Cena said in that promo last year, it was a John Cena bootleg. And they fed him down our throats. They didn't build him up organically like a Keith Lee in NXT or a Drew McIntyre. They said, this is going to be the face of the company. You guys need to accept it no matter what. And they kept giving coronation after coronation after coronation. No matter if it was against Brock Lesnar 3 times. No matter if it was against Triple H. No matter if it was against the freaking Undertaker. They were going to do another one earlier this year if it wasn't for COVID and Roman deciding to go home to protect his health and his family. They're going to have Roman beat Goldberg at Mania. They'll probably still do that match at some point. Because WWE, they always want to do that crap. But I was so happy that Roman finally turned heel. Finally. seeing him when he talked about, the title that I never lost. I was like, title that I never lost. And I had to remember that he dropped the Universal Championship because he had cancer. He had leukemia. So he never lost the title. He didn't regain it, but he never technically lost it. So I was like, oh, okay, I like that. I can get behind that a little bit. And then, they had Roman, look in the corner, and he says, that's not a spoiler, that's a promise. And I was like, wait a minute. No way. And then Paul Heyman shows up on the screen, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, wow, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns finally together. So we know Paul Heyman, he was fired from his Raw creative director role. And I know AJ Styles is fuming right now like, damn, I asked for a trade from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown because of this guy. But now I have to see him on SmackDown? Like, damn, what was the point of me getting traded for this? But, that's funny. I hope AJ does like a Twitch stream and we get his thoughts on that. But either way, man. I'm happy that Roman's a heel, but I was saying this, and ask Ultrinsic Paul, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but what I need to see on Friday, I need to see Roman Reigns wearing a damn suit, pulling a Triple H from Evolution. You cannot have the same babyface Roman, or the same Roman we've been seeing the last 5 years. I don't know, you have Roman wrestling in a freaking t-shirt tonight. He didn't wear his vest, but he was wearing a t-shirt. I was like, no, we need to see a shirtless Roman. If you want, maybe you can have him in the pants. I don't know. Maybe we can experiment with that. But Roman got to get rid of the vest. He needs new music. He can't be using the Shield music. He's been using the Shield music for close to a decade now since he's been on the main roster. If you're going to turn him heel, he needs to have an updated Titantron. He needs to have an updated theme. Like, you don't have to completely change it, but you got to update it a little bit. You did that for Seth Rollins when he turned heel. You did that for Bayley when she turned heel. Here's Roman, one of the biggest stars in the company, a heel turn that's been, in the works, that people have been wanting for half a decade now, and you're finally pulling the plug, on it. Make it seem real. Change his Titantron. Change his ring attire. Change his music. You don't have to change his look, but, too much, but still. If you're going to make a heel, have him be a heel. Have him come out wearing those suits and those shades. Have Paul Heyman do a lot of the talking for him. Like, I could get behind this. But the Roman Reigns we're seeing right now, it doesn't really feel like a heel Roman. It just seems more like a babyface Roman with a little more intensity. But I know it's a heel turn at the end of the day. But you need to go the extra mile to make it actually feel like a legitimate heel turn. All right? But getting into the match, and we'll talk a little bit about Roman after we, talk about the match first. All right. So getting into the match. So basically, the match started off without Roman. Roman did come out. And first of all, there's a plot hole with that because that doesn't really make any sense. But we see Strowman and The Fiend, they start going at it. And we saw Alexa Bliss. She was watching via the monitor in the back, and we know that Alexa, she's going through some phase because everyone that encounters the Fiend, changes somehow. We don't know. We know that her character is changing, but we don't know, exactly how much. Because the Fiend's turning babyface. Alexa's teasing that she's turning heel. So I don't know. Maybe you're turning Braun Strowman heel, and maybe you align Strowman and Alexa again. I don't know, but you had Alexa watching in the monitor. Plus, I know there was people that were unhappy. I was one of them. I'm not a big, Alexa Bliss fan, but I wanted to see Alexa get involved in the SummerSlam match last week. You built her up you built her up on the build for the match. Like, why wasn't she involved? And this week, all you have her watching is on a monitor. But clearly, I want to see Alexa, get involved hopefully in the next couple weeks, and we'll see where they're going with her. But anyway, Strowman and Fiend are fighting back and forth. We saw that they both hit, mini rock bottoms on the announce table. When the Fiend did it, it actually broke the announce table. Strowman did it to the Fiend on Sting ring steps. We also see, finally, the Fiend pulls out that hammer, the hammer that he originally was supposed to use on Seth Rollins. But Strowman took it, but then the Fiend took it back and then hit him in the chest with it, and it actually looked like it hurt. Then we see the Fiend and Strowman fighting up the entrance ramp, and we saw that Strowman then bulldozed, kind of speared the Fiend through a table. Then back in the ring, we saw the Fiend meet Strowman up on the top rope for a big superplex that broke the ring. We only see the break the ring spot, once every 3-4 years. Last time I saw it was, I think, Strowman versus Big Show. Couple years, or it may have been Strowman versus Henry. It was one of those two. But we don't see the break the ring spot that often. But I love it. I love it when we did. And it looked really good. Charles Robinson, the referee, fell out of the ring so funny. I don't know if they rehearsed that spot or anything like that, but I love when they do it because the referee always gets the bad side of the deal. Because the superstars, they know how to sell it, but the referee just falls. And Charles Robinson just fucking fell out of the ring. And I was just laughing my ass off. Friggin' crazy. So finally, both men down. Roman finally makes his entrance. He comes out and he decides to sign the contract. I don't know. Remember, Roman said that there was changes that he wanted to be made. But I was like, what changes? The match was already no holds barred, no disqualification. Like, what match, or what changes could you have made? And the thing about it is, I think that's illegal. Here's the plot hole I'm talking about. If you're not there at the beginning of the match, then it's like you're disqualified from the match. Like, you're supposed to be there when the bell rings. No matter if you're, on the entrance ramp or you're outside the ring, you still need to be there. Roman was not there. So it didn't really make sense. I didn't like that plot hole. It doesn't make sense that you're not there for 80% of the match. That's illegal. I hate when WWE does that. Remember when freaking Asuka attacked Bayley during the Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler match about a month ago? And, what happened is there was a disqualification. When Asuka didn't even get involved in the match, Asuka came down to attack Bayley after Bayley attacked Kairi Sane. It had nothing to do with the Sasha versus Shayna match at all. It had nothing to do with it. But yet they called for a disqualification. These are the logic gaps that I'm talking about with this company. You can't sign a contract for a match 80% of the way through. That doesn't make sense. If you're not there at the beginning of the match, then you're not in the match, period. That doesn't make any sense. Any sense whatsoever. And I'm sorry, but you gotta make sense here. So then Roman comes down, and he tried to win the match. So clearly he's pulling heel maneuvers. He went to pin the Fiend first. The Fiend kicked out. He tried to pin the Fiend again. The Fiend kicked out again. Then he did the same thing to Strowman. Strowman kicked out. So then he took a bunch of steel chairs. It kind of reminded me just a little bit of Stone Cold from WrestleMania 17, but nowhere close. But anyway, he hit him with a bunch of steel chairs, but Strowman kept kicking out. Then he grabbed another chair, but then the Fiend caught him with the mandible claw. Reigns escaped. Then he low blowed. So there's something. When have you ever seen Roman Reigns low blow somebody? So if you're trying to tell me that Roman's not a heel, then you guess again. He's a heel. He went for a low blow, connected. The Fiend fell out of the ring, and then he hit Strowman with a spear, just like I said he would. And 1, 2, 3, he wins the Universal Championship. He left the ring. He went right back to putting the freaking title over his shoulder, carrying it like a damn laundry bag. I hate when he does that, but I guess that's his thing. But he takes the title. He kept his shirt on the entire time, which looked ridiculous. And then he fist bumped to Paul Heyman and held the championship in the ring as the show went off the air. So this is what I'm going to say. The match was good. The match between the Fiend and Strowman was good. It felt like a fight. Then felt like an actual wrestling match. And that's what this called for. This called for a fight. Two people fucking going at it. Banging each other. Come on. That's what the match called for. But, Christopher Carter says Roman versus Lee versus Big E, three-way match, all in. I don't see that happening, bro, but I like your style. I like your thinking. But anyway, getting into the match itself, or getting back to it. The match between The Fiend and Strowman was great. It was great. This is what the SummerSlam match should have been. It felt like an actual fight. Big spot after big spot after big spot. And I like it. That's what you're supposed to get with big man. All right? I understand why they did it. Trying to get Roman that heel heat, but it doesn't make sense for someone to come 80% into the match, to wait that long to come in, then to sign the contract. If you're not there at the beginning of the match, then you're not there. You're not in the match at all. So I did not like how WWE did that. It was insult to wrestling IQ. So I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you guys. I did not like how they did that ending. All right, and then the way Roman won the title, I don't really have a problem with that. The Fiend still looks strong, especially because he got low blowed. So clearly they're setting up the Fiend to be the top babyface on SmackDown to chase after Roman. But it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. Is the Fiend going to get buried in the process, or will he actually win the title back from Roman? Because I can see Roman holding that title all the way to WrestleMania. All right, but either way, it's going to be interesting to see. Clearly, we're probably going to get the Fiend versus Roman. I would say that for Hell in a Cell. Maybe we see the Fiend, or maybe we see Roman versus Strowman at Clash of Champions. Even though I don't want to see Roman versus Braun Strowman ever again. I don't want to see that. Strowman's terrible, but still. And you got to remember, Otis has Money in the Bank as well. I don't think they would have Otis cash in on Roman. I did read a report that originally Roman was supposed to defeat Goldberg, and then they were going to have Corbin win the title from Roman, and then they're going to have Otis cash in on Corbin in the same night. But either way, I don't see Otis cashing in on a heel Roman. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. But, Roman as a heel, I'm excited for it. I'm happy for it. Because this is huge. Huge. Something we've all wanted for years finally happening. But you got to make the other changes. You got to go all the way with this Roman Reigns heel turn. Like I said, right now, it feels like Roman Reigns is more of a tweener with more intensity. If you're going to keep it up, you have to go full-fledged heel with Roman. Full-fledged heel. I mean, change his intro a little bit. Change his Titantron. Have him come out in suit. Like a Samoan badass, like The Rock used to do when he was the corporate champion, like Triple H used to do back in Evolution, like Seth Rollins used to do back when he was with the Authority. Do that. I would love to see that. And this Friday, I want to see Roman cut a bombshell of a promo. I want him to call out the WWE Universe. I want him to call out, Braun Strowman. I want him to call out Goldberg. I want him to call out everybody. I really want them. I really want to believe and be invested in this heel run for Roman, because it's a long time coming. It's something that we've all wanted for so many years now, and it looks like we're finally getting it. So hopefully we get a Roman, a big Roman heel turn. Like you're already halfway there, but you gotta take those extra steps to really make us believe it. Change his theme, change his music. All right, change his ring attire. No more wrestling in the vest. Change his Titantron, and change, have him come out with that heel personality. The suits, the shades. I would love to see it, all right? Love to see it. But it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully the Fiend doesn't get buried throughout all this, but I'm scared. I really am scared. The Fiend is holding on by a thread. But either way, Roman Reigns is the new Universal Champion, and we'll just have to see where it goes. Other than that, guys, that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for joining me here on the Legit Shoot podcast. Payback tonight. It wasn't a bad show. Wasn't the best pay-per-view of the year. It wasn't the worst pay-per-view of the year. It was in the middle. Some really good stuff. Keith Lee getting that big win over Randy Orton. More tension between Sasha Banks and Bayley, even though I'm sad that Sasha has no more titles. Still, Sasha versus Bayley is finally on the way, happening after 5 years of wait. Also, Roman Reigns becoming the new Universal Champion. I am all in for that if they go all the way with this heel run. But overall, Payback tonight, if you want me to give it a fair estimate, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. It was an okay show. It wasn't terrible, wasn't anything special, but I would probably give it a 5.56 max, somewhere around that row. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you guys like this show? Did you guys enjoy it? What was your thoughts on the pay-per-view? Before you guys leave, if you guys are watching the chat or on demand, thank you guys so much for joining me. Do me a favor, if you guys enjoy the podcast, no matter if you guys agreed with me or not, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, if you guys listen for no matter how long, leave a like on the video before you guys leave. Hit a like, it really helps me out. It gets the video more recommendations, and definitely I'm here to educate and entertain. All right, but thank you guys for joining me on the podcast tonight. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Hit the bell next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below. We went almost 2 hours again. I think we went longer than the SummerSlam review, which is very surprising, but still, man, absolutely crazy. Thank you guys once again for all the love and support. You guys are awesome. I'll be right back here tomorrow night with the Monday Night Raw review. So we'll be right back here doing our thing, talk about Raw. We'll see what happens with all of stuff there as we exit Payback and we get on the road to Clash of Champions, where every WWE championship will be defended at that pay-per-view. But thank you guys all so much for the support. Thank you to Salriax for making this design and this layout as always. Thank you guys for everything, man. I hope you guys stay safe and healthy. I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow night on the Monday Night Raw review. You guys stay safe. Have a great day, guys. Peace.